Football's back and is expected to bring record-breaking betting with it. According to the American Gaming Association, American adults will wager a staggering $35 billion on the NFL this season. That's more than a 30% increase over 2023. And with just a few minutes until the closing bell on Wall Street, we're now looking at how to navigate sports betting stocks with the Yahoo Finance playbook. Joining us now is Jordan Bender, Citizens JMP Senior Equity Research Analyst. Jordan, great to see you.
Good to see you as well.
All right, so NFL's back. Chiefs, Ravens tomorrow night. Maybe just set the stage with us to begin, Jordan. When you think about the NFL, this sport, this league, how important is it to the broader sports betting market?
Yeah, to follow on the previous conversation of growing the game, sports betting will be an integral part of actually growing the NFL itself, and the sports betting companies are a way to do that as well. You throw up the AGA number there. We had a note out this morning saying $33 billion will be wagered this season on the NFL. And that's obviously a record over last year. The industry is still pretty young. It's growing every single year. And really what we're seeing is the evolution of a lot of these sports betting companies innovating, coming up with new products to drive new users, new customer acquisition into the space. The more eyeballs on the game, the more betting that's going to happen along the way. And we think this upcoming season is going to be a record for everyone.
And yet we're not really seeing that payoff for the stocks, at least not universally. Why is that?
There's a couple factors going on out there. There's a lot of regulation headwinds that are kind of bubbling up on the surface as well. But really what we did is we stepped back and we said we have 60% of the United States population that will have access to sports betting this year. From 2018 to now, we got 60%, but that's now starting to slow down. So when we think about slowing legalization, regulation starting to pop up, these operators need to find other ways to say, this is how we're going to grow the business in 2025 and 2026.
Rather than just getting new bettors.
Right. I mean, we look at the statistics now, and they're very, very impressive as we sit here today. As we talk about stocks and we look at kind of the landscape in out years, it's how do you continue to drive more revenue out of that existing player, out of new people. This will be the least amount of the population that will enter the NFL season in the history of sports betting. It's obviously not that old, but that's kind of in the back of investors' mind of in future years, where are you finding this extra growth?
I'm interested, Jordan, we talk about the NFL a lot for good reason, but the WNBA, any line of sight there in terms of, has there been a jump in attention, wagers?
What we've heard from the DraftKings and FanDuels of the world is when you have a singular event or a player like Caitlin Clark enter the mix, you get more eyes on the sport. The Olympics is the same way. Caitlin Clark and these one-off kind of events that might happen, and that will get more attention and get people betting. So, at the end of the day, the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, those are the major wagering events in sports for at least U.S. sports betting operators. WNBA and some of the smaller sports, they might get a small bump along the way. You might get some headlines, but the overall piece of the pie is pretty small still for it.
So then the question becomes the question that you asked: how do they expand their revenue, their profitability in the out years if it's not going to be expanding? You only have Olympics every so often. So how do they do it? And are there some that are better poised to do it than others?
So two companies, DraftKings and FanDuel, make up about 80% of the sports betting revenue in this country. For them, they've had the time advantage. They have the data, the people, the knowledge on how to run this industry. And with that comes product evolution. As seen today, DraftKings has their offerings out for the game tomorrow saying who won't score a touchdown tomorrow. And that's something new that they can offer that some of these companies might not be able to. But as the industry moves along with DraftKings and FanDuel and offers these props and other ways to bet, it's going to get more people to invest and or play on these apps and generate more revenue, even with slowing legalization.
I know, Jordan, you like DraftKings and Flutter, but if you had to push you, if you had to choose one, is there one you'd prefer?
We like FanDuel. That's the number one sports betting and iGaming player here in the U.S. They're tied to the largest online global gaming company in the world. Again, we like scale, we like diversification. When you have the people and the data and the knowledge to know what you're doing, you can do it best. And the U.S. is a high growth market. They're the number one player here. We like FanDuel, so Flutter's parent Flutter's parent company over DraftKings here into the NFL season.
And what what about all the other guys, the other 20% that you mentioned?
Yeah, every year we preview the space into the NFL season. It's always what company is going to disrupt FanDuel and DraftKings. And normally it's the niche small operators that might be
Where's the answer? Nobody, really.
that might be offering differentiated products. This year we think it's going to come from more of the mid-end. ESPN Bet, that's a big topic of discussion in the industry. Caesars, BetMGM, a lot of these companies that have balance sheets, databases that are really going to make investment pushes into the next 6 months.
What about, Jordan, some other names that maybe a bit under the radar, at least for some folks, but you cover, I know, like Sport Radar, Genius Sports. Would those be buys in your opinion?
Yeah, we like the data providers. So we actually upgraded Sport Radar this morning to Market Outperform. That's not an NFL play. That's more of an NBA play here in the US. But we think the picks and shovels, the backbones of the industry, the companies that you need to operate in the sports betting industry, those are the attractive plays. Genius Sports has been one of our top picks for quite some time. We think if you want to price a bet, if you're DraftKings and you want to price bet, you need Genius Sports during the NFL season. That revenue isn't going away, and those are long-term growth stories within this industry.
Jordan, that was really fun. Thanks so much for joining us in those picks. Appreciate it.